Dersu Uzala is one of the greatest films from one of the greatest directors. Filmed on location in the Russian wilderness by the legendary Akira Kurosawa, the film follows the powerful friendship between Russian explorer Arsenyev and a Goldie nomad, Dersu Uzala.
Здравствуй, капитан! Здравствуй,
Kurosawa's camera paints this friendship and the wilderness that surrounds it with a sense of authenticity, bearing witness to the beauty of nature, but also its relationship to mankind. Despite their enduring friendship, Arsenyev cannot exist within the natural world as Dersu does, and it leads to conflict when their worlds inevitably collide.
Моя уходи худо. Только не могу жить в городе.
Although somewhat tragic, I find the film ultimately life-affirming, a genuine tearjerker, which is not unusual for Kurosawa. The Running Man is an exercise in cinematic maximalism. While loosely based on the Stephen King novel, the film is better described as being simply born out of the 80s blockbuster itself. Starring the muscles of Arnold Schwarzenegger as they attempt to survive the violently absurd games of a vicious TV program in a dystopian police state America. While the film serves as a somewhat effective satire of US politics and mass media, I find it much more interesting as a condensed example of the extreme macho cinema of the 80s and the filmic tools the genre utilized.
You bastard! Drop dead!
I don't do requests.
Released in 2023, Evil Does Not Exist is a film opposed to the modern cinematic landscape. It's slow, introspective, and quiet. Long, unbroken shots of individuals interacting with nature, each beautifully crafted, but natural and undistracting. The film explores the relationship between a small town disconnected from the outside world and a group of developers working to create a quote-unquote glamping site in the middle of that town.
社長とコンサル連れてきて、もう一回やろう。
The slow buildup of disconnection and misunderstanding between the two groups leads to a sad, tragic, but ultimately inevitable finale. The Maltese Falcon is an unforgettable and influential film, not only for shooting Humphrey Bogart and John Huston to fame, but for shaping the noir genre into what it is today. It follows Detective Samuel Spade as he unravels the mystery behind a series of murders and the mysterious artifact that connects them. His journey takes him through a shadowy Los Angeles, meeting memorable criminals
that you may have the Falcon, but we certainly have you.
And a beautiful but dangerous woman. Despite establishing the genre, it avoids common tropes and pitfalls, and its narrative remains surprising intense, to a level that even modern noirs still can't quite reach.
We've got to have a fall guy. The police have got to have a victim, somebody they can pin those 3 murders on.
All My Life is an experimental short film from Bruce Bailey that strips the medium of film down to its bare essentials. The film is a single panning shot of a fence and its surrounding foliage set to a calming song played on a radio. Its simplicity elicits a strange sense of beauty. There's a feeling of nostalgia for a scene that doesn't seem to fit into any particular time or place. It immortalizes a passing, insignificant moment of time, allowing it to exist and be enjoyed forever. Perhaps that's one of the most important things art can do. Ingmar Bergman is perhaps the most important figure of the European art house movement. The images he elicits have affected many viewers throughout the years, and Winter Light is one of his best. It follows the priest of a small town and the slow deterioration of his faith as he tries and fails to bring comfort and understanding to the few members of his congregation.
Vad gör det för skillnad? Livet blir begripligt.
Bergman's visual style is quiet and lonely, isolating the figures in his frames and trapping them in cold, empty landscapes. It's a film of vague, understated ideas. It doesn't leave the viewer with any intense or powerful emotions. It just leaves them feeling empty and cold.
Helig, helig, helig är Herren Gud allsmäktig. Hela jorden är full av hans härlighet.
The King of Comedy is a criminally underseen Scorsese picture. It's a character study of Rupert Pupkin, an awkward, unsuccessful comedian, played by De Niro in A Career Best, who is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve even a few minutes of fame. The film highlights everything that makes Scorsese the masterful filmmaker he is. The focus on morally compromised characters, a dangerous, vague story, and the incredible use of film form, particularly in the edit.
The fact is that no one's allowed to be too because once you fall below a certain
Sunshine down, but I see only one.
Dark Star is the filmic debut of John Carpenter. Originally created as a short film, Carpenter was given extra money by producers to make the film a feature. While it lacks any real sense of professionalism, the film makes up for it on vibes alone. Its amateur look and unconventional pace seem to add to the loose, unconnected narrative of the film, which seems to simultaneously pay respects to and poke fun at Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
This other guy came running along and he says, "Hey, Sergeant Pinback, you've got to board immediately because we're going to launch in 20 minutes."
4 years ago.
And I tried.
I don't really want to spoil anything, but I'll just say that this film has one of my all-time favorite endings in all of fiction.
Of course you remember it, but all you're remembering is merely a series of sensory impulses which you now realize have no real definite connection with outside reality.
Fritz Lang is one of the directors most associated with the silent era, but it's my opinion that his true masterpiece was his first sound picture, M, about the people of a European town trying, through various methods, to capture the child murderer that stalks their streets. Lang presents his story through gothic, macabre visuals, most particular the unforgettable image of an oppressive shadow cast against a wall.
Du hast aber einen schönen Ball.
His use of sound is limited but effective, highlighted in the ever-present whistling of our twisted killer. The film builds in suspense and fear, leading to an intense final with a level of darkness that the medium wouldn't revisit for many, many years. The Wages of Fear is perhaps one of the single greatest thrillers of all time, the ultimate in cinematic stress. The setup for the film is simple but effective. A colorful cast of characters must drive highly volatile explosives across a long stretch of treacherous wilderness. Everything in the world builds tension. Every little bump on the road, every slight movement of the characters, each shot presenting a new, unexpected danger. And the tension builds and builds as the characters grow more and more desperate, the film never offering any sense of rest or relaxation. And it all leads to one of the most incredible and fitting finales of all time. Tombstone is a celebration of the Western genre, willingly embracing the tropes and images that have defined the cinematic West since Stagecoach in 1939. Starring Val Kilmer, Kurt Russell, and Sam Elliott in a historical epic following the events surrounding the famous shootout at the OK Corral. The movie oozes an effortless sense of coolness that provides for a near endless amount of entertainment.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
If you've ever found yourself interested in the Western genre, I would consider this as essential as films like The Searchers, Unforgiven, and the Dollars trilogy. There you have it, folks.
11
films that I would recommend to anybody interested in the medium. While I definitely don't think they're equal in quality, I definitely think they're equal in merit, in the sense that there's an equal amount to be learned and gained from each of these films if you're willing to engage with them as pieces of artistic expression. That's all I have for today. Thanks so much for watching. I've been Eggnog, and I hope to see you next week.